Coming up on Mountain News this morning, major changes may be on the way for migrants seeking a new start here in the United States. And Attorney General Andy Beshear says he is taking the Bevin administration to court over subpoenas for teachers involved in sick-outs. And the University of the Cumberlands will soon be expanding their special education to allow students to teach more than one class or grade level.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6:32 on Friday, April the 30th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News This Morning. Well, this time tomorrow when you're getting up, you're going to have to flip over the calendar because tomorrow is the 1st of May. But we've already seen some summer-like weather this week. Let's bring Brandon in to give you a better breakdown of what to expect as we move into May. And Brandon, yesterday gorgeous, today the same?
Absolutely. We're going to see a fairly nice day. Will, I can't wait to see those memes. It's going to be May.
It's going to be.
Exactly. I can't wait to see those. Those are always funny to watch. But as we head across the region this morning, we'll start in Pikeville. And you see, we're going to see a nice start to the day on the Pikeville Medical Center camera. We're looking at not too many clouds, just a few there. We come back to US 119 up on top of Whitesburg, Pine Mountain, and daylight is breaking there. Not a whole lot of traffic as we head through the first part of your day. Not much to scan either on live pinpoint Doppler radar, so we'll move on to those temperatures. Low to mid to upper 50s in the valleys, low to mid to upper 60s on the ridge tops this morning, and across the state 50s and 60s across the board. No 40s there. And the weather app forecast for today, download that for free in all the app stores. Just search WYMT weather and you can see sun and clouds and temperatures in the mid to maybe some upper 80s in some isolated locations. Rest of the forecast on the way here in just a few minutes. Will?
We'll also see the May the 4th be with you. I know you're a Trekkie, but those are coming too. Well, major changes may be on the way for migrants seeking a new start right here in America. President Trump is calling for new immigration measures to address matters along the southern border. John Lawrence has more on that.
President Trump wants new measures for the country's asylum process.
Last month alone, 100,000 illegal immigrants arrived at our borders, placing a massive strain on communities and schools and hospitals and public resources.
On Monday, Mr. Trump sent a memo to Attorney General William Barr and Acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McAleenan. The document has a number of measures which include judging asylum applications within a 6-month period and requiring fees for asylum and work permit applications. Critics say the U.S. has to follow its asylum laws for migrants who are fleeing for safety reasons.
You can lawfully petition for asylum in this country, which does not guarantee that your asylum petition will be granted, but that we have to at least hear that.
In a tweet, President Trump called U.S. immigration laws weak, ineffective, and dangerous, and called Mexico one of the most dangerous countries in the world.
The best way to address this is not with cages, it's not militarization, it's not a wall. It is by investing in the solutions diplomatically and through resources in the Northern Triangle of Central America so that there are fewer reasons to cause a family to flee in the first place.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Now, the memo from President Trump says Barr and McAleenan have 90 days to take action. 5 people are in custody in upstate New York after what authorities are calling an attempt to enter the U.S. illegally from Canada. U.S. Customs and Border Protection say 4 people tried to enter the U.S. illegally, while a 5th is accused of migrant smuggling. Authorities say the blue sedan seen in this video was searched as part of the investigation. The U.S. Border Patrol and other agencies are investigating the incident. The Supreme Court declined to overturn the appointment of a special prosecutor in the case involving a controversial Arizona sheriff. Former Sheriff Joe Arpaio was convicted of contempt of court in 2017 for continuing to make immigration arrests after being court-ordered to stop. President Trump later pardoned Arpaio, which cleared him of any possible sentencing. Arpaio tried to get the guilty verdict off his record, but when a district court detained the request, Arpaio appealed. Now the White House is pushing back against threats from congressional Democrats to subpoena Attorney General William Barr if he does not testify before the House Judiciary Committee later this week. Barr is scheduled to testify before the Senate tomorrow over his role in the release of special counsel Robert Mueller's report. But his appearance before the House on Thursday remains up in the air.
The best person we can hear from is Attorney General Barr to find out why, one, his summary or Cliff Notes version was so different from the facts, and two, why won't he just release the unredacted report?
House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler already subpoenaed former White House counsel Don McGahn to testify. The White House says it sees no reason why McGahn should testify and could try to block it. Now, the Department of Justice will be down another leader. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is leaving next month. Rosenstein tendered his resignation Monday in a letter to the White House. Rosenstein touted a reduction in violent crime and fighting opioid abuse as achievements of the administration and the DOJ. He went on to say the Justice Department enforces the law without, quote, fear or favor, to remain nonpartisan. Attorney General Andy Beshear says he is taking the Bevin administration to court over subpoenas for teachers involved in sick-outs. The lawsuit attempts to stop Governor Bevin and the Labor Cabinet from requesting the names of teachers who called out sick to rally in Frankfort. Attorney General Beshear says the governor is trying to take away their right to free speech. Governor Bevin called the lawsuit, quote, a political stunt.
Guess what? If it was a First Amendment issue, what would this have been? A federal level issue. And then he couldn't have given it to his friend Phil Shepard.
The governor's words and actions are despicable. They are bullying, and I'm here to stop him.
Battle again. The Jefferson County Teachers Association joined the Attorney General in the lawsuit. Now, Governor Bevin signed a new bill limiting abortions here in the Commonwealth that is already being challenged by the ACLU. And as Victor Puente tells us at a news conference, Bevin called out Beshear for refusing to defend it.
House Bill 5 creates a new ban on abortions in Kentucky if a pregnant woman wants to have one because of the fetus's sex, race, color, national origin, or disability. Governor Bevin held a ceremonial signing earlier today.
The days of hypocrisy have got to end. The days of taking innocent life in America have got to end.
The law is already being challenged in court by the ACLU. Bevin criticized Attorney General Andy Beshear for refusing to defend it.
A little political stunt on his part to try to gin up support and money for his political aspirations. It's reprehensible. These are human lives.
Beshear said defending the law was a waste of taxpayer dollars.
What the governor ought to be signing today is a personal check to reimburse the Commonwealth for the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we will owe because of this legislation.
Today, Bevin said he hopes the fight goes to the Supreme Court, where a more conservative court could potentially use it to overturn Roe versus Wade.
This was put in the spotlight, that this was a challenge to our nation's conscience. This is going to be taken all the way to the Supreme Court, I have no doubt.
Now, that injunction also applies to House Bill 9, the fetal heartbeat abortion law. Now, the University of the Cumberlands will soon be expanding their special education to allow students to teach more than one class or grade level. University staff say the new education program, with an emphasis in learning and behavioral disorders, will bridge the gap in a shortage of special education teachers.
I think that we are meeting that need across the nation, across the state, in our local area.
Now, registration for the classes begins this summer. Well, regulations for getting tattoos in Kentucky are more than a decade old. For almost 15 years, they have not been updated. The Department for Public Health proposed new regulations this month. Now, there is a lot in these proposed regulations that are focused on helping keep the areas clean, sanitized, and so on. But one part of it has some local tattoo artists unhappy. WYMT's Connor James has more on what that is.
It's this stack of proposed regulations that aim to make tattooing safer, but it's something in this specific section that doesn't make some tattoo artists too happy.
Sometimes it's the only way for these people to move forward with their lives.
Lost Gypsy Tattoo in downtown Hazard is a relatively new business. Its owner has been in the business for years, though.
Camouflage that constant reminder of what they've gone through.
What the store's owner, Draven Gayhart, is referring to is scar covering with tattoos. A specific part of those regulations could prohibit that.
I've covered up dozens. I've covered up some as recently as Saturday.
This is something personal to him.
My wife had a large portion of her bicep removed She had a large scar in that area. She hid this scar for half of her life. It's been turned into something of beauty now.
Now, in a statement from the Cabinet of Health and Family Services, officials state that this is not set in stone. They are taking public comments, and things could change depending on that.
And if this service isn't available in a clean establishment by trained personnel, they'll go elsewhere.
So change is what Gayhart hopes to see. In Perry County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, that public hearing that Connor mentioned is for May 28th at the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. For the full statement from the cabinet, you can just head on over to our website at WYMT.com to check it out. Well, it's 6:42 this morning. Let's toss it over to Brandon as he's warming up to bring you some warm weather today. Brandon?
Very much so, my friend. We're going to look at some low to mid 80s across most of the region, maybe some upper 80s in some isolated spots. So we're going to keep an eye out for that. A few clouds this morning outside. Buffalo Mountain this morning up on top of the ridges. Mountain Parkway looking pretty good as you head out. Not a whole lot of traffic just yet. Maybe a touch of fog up that way. So again, some patchy fog possible. Over Whitesburg this morning, maybe just a few clouds. Otherwise, a pretty quiet start to this Tuesday, the last day of April, if you can believe it. Clean sweeps on live pinpoint Doppler radar. Temperatures, valleys in the 50s, ridges in the 60s, close to 70 in some spots, and that southwest wind, southerly flow continues to crank in here. That's going to drive our temperatures up quickly, so we get to right around 80 by lunchtime, and then after that into the mid 80s by the afternoon. So a warm day ahead. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Well, we will have stories trending on WYMT.com next. As always, thank you for joining us right here on Mountain News this morning. Those stories that are still to come, Mozambique has been hit by the strongest known cyclone ever to hit the country. We will tell you the latest details.